Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. Today, I've got one of my In the News shows, and I've got a handful of companies that are picks in the reports that had important news out today, and I want to talk about those. So we'll get right into it. I'll talk about metals at the end of the show. To start out with here, this is McEwen Inc. And they had news out earlier today. New high-grade gold zone at Windfall Project. McEwen pleased to announce encouraging results from 2025 drilling program at Windfall Project located on the Eureka property in Nevada, some 32 miles from our Gold Bar mine. Key results: drill hole WF033 hit a new high-grade zone containing 8.1 grams per ton of gold over 8.7 meters, including 50.3 grams per ton of gold, 782 grams per ton of silver, 15% lead, 2.5% zinc. And that comes out to a 62.5 grams per ton gold equivalent number over 1.3 meters. Other strong results include 2 grams of gold over 38.8.3 meters, 1.2 grams over 17.1 meters, 1.2 grams of gold over 10.1 meters. The results confirm continuous gold mineralization in the main Windfall fault zone and reveal a brand new fault zone in its footwall with high grades of gold, silver, and base metals. Why it matters. This high grade discovery is exciting and its significance will be determined by additional drilling. The new zone has similarities to mineralization at I-80 Gold's Ruby Hill mine, which has already produced 1.4 million ounces of gold. Because the Windfall area sits on private land, permitting could be faster than usual. McEwen's drilling goals at Windfall and next steps for 2025. Publish a resource estimate by the year end. Test extensions of the mineralization at depth and along strike. Collect samples for metallurgical testing and explore new targets near the project. A detailed drill results table, geological discussion, all that's all later, and I'm going to talk about that as well. About McEwen Mining, McEwen provides, or McEwen Inc., sorry. McEwen provides shareholders with exposure to gold, silver, and copper through operations in the US, Canada, and Argentina, as well as its flagship Los Azules copper project in Argentina. Los Azules is advancing towards becoming one of the world's first regenerative copper mines and carbon neutral by 2038 and has the potential to rank among the 25 largest copper mines globally. Chairman and chief owner Rob McEwen has invested over $200 million personally and takes a salary of $1 per year, aligning his interests with shareholders. Okay, let's go down further, and there's some more important information here. Here it gives you a rundown of all the various different drill holes. Geological setting, gold is hosted in the Windfall Fault Zone within silicified and calcified breccia in dolomite of the Hamburg Formation. These are, for the non-geo out there, these are what you're looking for in this particular kind of CRD style mineralization. And they talk about a newly discovered fault 50 meters southeast of Windfall contains high-grade gold, silver, lead, and zinc in carbonate replacement deposit style mineralization. The combination of CRD and Carlin style mineralization suggests strong potential for additional high-grade discoveries. Earlier in the news release, they talked about its similarities to the I-80 Gold's project to the immediate north. And that's what they found at where there's been a significant amount of historical production there. Metallurgical and permitting notes. 4 PQ-sized holes were drilled for metallurgical testing and continuity analysis. This helps them to understand how much of the metals and how efficiently they can get it out of there. Oxidized gold mineralization demonstrated strong cyanide recovery. CN ratios above 60% are considered favorable for heap leach processing. The Windfall area sits on patented claims, which could reduce permitting timelines. When they're patented claims, they're much easier to permit, and that's why they point that out. Here they talk about the recovery ratios, 69%, 83, 85, all very good numbers, all the way up to 99% recovery. This map shows you where the property is located. So this is the Eureka property. It's right beside the town of Eureka, which is that green star there. To the north is a series of important mines. Seven Troughs is over here, which is one of uh, McEwen's projects that I'm very bullish on because I, in fact, was involved with this project many years ago. I worked with the guy who staked that ground, and it's a very good project. I'm looking forward to hearing more about Seven Troughs. This map here, now I've done reports in the past where I went on Google Earth, and you can see there's a series of structures that are really important for the emplacement of the various different deposits up at I-80 Gold, and they extend right through McEwen Inc.'s ground. And one of those is at Windfall here, okay? And so here in the light gray, you can see, or the darker gray beside the light gray, that is the actual Windfall fault that runs through there. Now, there's already a couple of known deposits on this. There's the Windfall pit and the Windfall fault zone. And some of the past drilling that was done on there suggests that this is still open and there's plenty of room in between them and even in the pit to expand on that resource. So these faults here are for the non-geo out there. These are cracks in the earth that enable the metals bearing fluids a path of least resistance, if you will, to for those fluids to make their way up towards the surface. So structure, I once heard a very good comment from a very well-known geologist, and he said it's all when it comes to geology, it's all about structure, structure, structure. So that's why these cracks in the earth, if you will, are so important. Uh, Here they've got the block model of the past of the resource. Okay, and here they're hitting some more in relation to that, and it's still very much open. This is a conceptual pit design here in red, and yeah, it's a very good project. This rock, I know for the non-geologist, it might not mean a whole lot, but this is the kind of rock, it looks identical to the high-grade CRD discovery that I-80 Gold made, let's say 5,000 meters up the road. So when I see this kind of stuff, it gets my attention because that's what you're looking for, and that's what they're finding with the drilling. So very good news again. This is 2 days in a row that McEwen Mining has had great news out. I talked about their news on yesterday's in the news show, so I'm not going to go over that again, but I will pull up their chart. And the news they've had a very good breakout yesterday and today due to the quality of the drill results on their gold projects. One in Ontario was yesterday, and today we had the stuff from Nevada, and the stock was up 0.79%. or 15 cents a share to $19.11. So yeah, the market is really liking what the company is doing with its gold exploration, and then they've got that fantastic copper project called Los Azules that it's getting close to. They're working on a feasibility study, and this is your highest confidence level economic evaluation of a project, and it's a really important milestone for moving a project towards production, a production decision. The preliminary economic assessment already looks very positive, and this will give more updated information about, how the with more closer to current prices for metals and closer to current prices for your costs and all that. So it's a really important report that's not too far away from coming out. So yeah, I've been making the case that McEwen Inc. has one of the best value propositions out there. And what I break it down to is you look at their junior gold operations, and I make the case and have in past shows that I believe the company is undervalued just for that alone and what they're doing to move it forward towards a 2 million or 200,000 ounce producer over the next few years and also bringing down their costs. They've also got a new mine going into production, which is called the Stock Mine. They thought that their Froome mine was nearing end of its mine life, and in fact, they've got a whole new zone called Froome West that not too long ago had really good, really high grade results out of it as well. And the nice thing about that one is that the underground workings are already going towards it. So it looks like there'll be easy access to that very high grade gold at Froome West. So they got a lot of great things going on the gold side of the company, but then they've also got this copper project that's just phenomenal. It's one of the top 10 undeveloped copper projects in the world. And it is also in the lowest cost quartile. This is exactly what the copper mining business needs and the world needs because demand is going up, supply is flat. The pipeline of projects that are in development and exploration is not going to be able to help that supply chain very much. It, in fact, may only be able to replace a lot of these old mines that the world has been depending on for a very long time, decades. Some of these deposits were found 50, 60 years ago, and discoveries have fallen off a map. There's very minimal amount of great projects in the pipeline for new mine development, and McEwen Inc. has one of those. So I think collectively, it offers a very compelling value proposition. All right, that's the McEwen Inc. story for today. And next up is Norsemont Mining. Norsemont announces closing of a final tranche of private placement from strategic investor Paul Matisic. He put in a 600,000 Canadian dollars into the private placement. And there's a quote here from Mark Levy, who stated, and I quote, he's the CEO of the company, he stated, and I quote, closing over 6 million in our recent financing with support from his strategic industry leaders, including Rob McEwen, Crescat Capital, Dr. Quinton Henney, and Larry Lepard, and now attracting mining entrepreneur Paul Matisic is a powerful endorsement of our vision and the significant upside at Choque Limpe. With this backing, Norsemont is well positioned to advance drilling, metallurgy, and engineering and move towards a production scenario that can unlock substantial value for all stakeholders. Paul Matisic, he stated, and I quote, and by the way, Paul Matisik is a serial entrepreneur. He has built and sold several companies. A really talented guy, and I think it's fantastic that he's put his money behind Norsemont. And he stated, and I quote, Norsemont's Choquelimpe project is a significant mineralized system in northern Chile, a region renowned for hosting some of the world's largest ore deposits. While only a small portion of the upper epithermal system was historically mined, the broader potential along strike and at depth remains virtually untouched. I believe a disciplined drill campaign can rapidly expand the already substantial gold and silver resources while positioning Choquelimpe for near-term production in a strong gold market. I'm very excited to invest in this opportunity as Norsemont's experienced team works to unlock the potential of this porphyry epithermal system. End quote. So both these quotes speak volumes about the quality of the project. In Mark's comments, or in Mark's comment, he mentioned that Rob McEwen, Crescat Capital, Dr. Quentin Henney, and Larry Lepard, as well as Paul Matisik, have all put money into this company. And they're all very talented people. One's a hedge fund. Dr. Quentin Henney is the chief investment officer. I think that's his title. He's like one of the top people at Crescat Capital. He personally put his money in. Larry Lepard is a very well-known investor with a big following on social media. He's a market commentator, really sharp guy. And it's all about the project. You attract these kind of people into a very high quality project. In fact, just on my weekend show that went out on Labor Day a couple days ago, I went into quite a bit of detail about the Choquelimpe project, and I think it's a great piece for you to check out, and it'll help you get an idea of why I think so highly of the company. So to unlock that potential, it's going of the project, its ultimate potential. I mean, it's pretty amazing to think that they've got 2.7 million ounces of gold in the resource, and that resource is only been drilled down to about 80 meters. And even in the drilling that they did, I always point this out because I think it's really important that they did vertical holes into a system that has vertical emplacement of the metals. So what that means is that the drilling was not optimized. Think about it. If you have a pillar of or the a vein that comes up here and you drill right beside it 10 meters away, you miss it. So when they're doing the resource calculations, you don't get credit for that. And so part of the plan is to do angled holes, which will be a much more optimized way to unlock even more ounces in the known resource, and then also start to test below that and beside it, and it's wide open. It's got a massively large alteration zone. There's lots of room to grow that resource, and I think it's going to grow dramatically just from the known resource area, not even including just optimizing your drilling into the known resource area and then expanding below it, to the side of it, into the breccia pipes. I talked about I could go on and on about this project, but I did do quite a thorough one on Labor Day. And then Paul Matisik, he talks about the how significant the mineralized system is, that it's in northern Chile, that it's in an area that's renowned for hosting some of the world's largest ore deposits. So, in real estate, they say location, location, location. Well, that's what they've got. That's what that says. And he talks about only a small portion of the upper epithermal system was historically mined. That's true for mining and for exploration drilling. Um, and he talks about a disciplined drill campaign. I'm very confident that will happen because the key person leading the charge on that is Dr. David Flint, and he was part of the team that found the Grasberg deposit, one of the world's great mines, and he worked there for 15 years. So he understands these epithermal porphyry systems very well. I've had some great meetings with him, and I think he's a top-notch guy that's got a great game plan to do exactly what Paul is suggesting here, which is a disciplined drill campaign. And when doing it in a disciplined way, I think it will also be high impact that is accretive to the valuation of the company. That's what it's all about. And they've also got the potential for near-term production because there's a mill on site. It's been permitted for mining, and they can basically turn this thing on probably within a couple of years from now. And so it's a near-term producer of gold and copper. Well, gold we know for sure, and I think there's copper potential there as well. So that is the Norsemont news. Now let's pull up their stock chart. And as they've been doing this financing and closing it off, they had a good basing period while it was being worked on, and it stayed well above the offering price of the private placement. Oftentimes, when a company's got a pending private placement, it can go slightly below the offering price, where this one stayed above the offering price, which is a bullish indicator on its own. But you can see there that it had a very tight range as they were doing that, and as they announced three separate tranches, it started to move up. It closed today at 86 cents, so it was flat on the day, on 160,000 shares traded. But I love this trend on the stock. It had another basing period back here, let's say at about 20 cents a share. And as they started to make the plans known of what they were doing with their Choquelimpe project, it started to get more attention. It traded all the way up to 77 cents, came back down on some slight profit taking, firmed up off of that, had another important base, and now another important breakout. So I see a lot of news coming out of this company. They're loaded up with about $6 million in cash. That's going to give them a lot of money to do their drilling. The money goes a long way there for drilling. So I think you're going to see a lot of really good news out of Norsemont because of this financing that they've done. All right. Now, Nuvau Minerals provides comprehensive exploration update at Matagami. Drilling confirms gold discovery and significant progress at Caber Complex. All right. So shared positive results and significant progress at its Matagami project in today's comprehensive exploration update. By the way, Matagami is in Quebec, which is one of the greatest mining jurisdictions, or one of the most mining friendly jurisdictions in the world. It's a 1,300 square kilometer project that they got from Glencore, and Glencore is a base metal focused major mining company, and up to about 2022, they were realizing that this was no longer a core asset for them. And so Nuvau was able to come in and do a deal that made Glencore happy. And so Nuvau basically has a major mining company project in a company that has like a $40 million valuation. So this project, Matagami, is very well known in Quebec because it's been in production since the 1960s, most recently by Glencore. And the big picture game plan is to bring the base metals back into production. One of the key mines that has a bunch of underground workings and still remains open is the Brace McMcLeod mine. And it was known that there was a quartz vein with gold in it right beside the underground workings. So a couple months ago, Nuvau went in there and drilled it, and this is the result of some of that drilling. So I'll talk in the context of the news release now. Peter Van Alphen, who's the CEO of Nuvau, stated, and I quote, multiple new discoveries, including the recent discovery of gold mineralization, demonstrate the potential of this large-scale property that was historically recognized solely for its base metal potential. The confirmation of gold-bearing orogenic system adjacent to existing mine infrastructure significantly expands the opportunity for value creation. Nuvau is geared to continue the exploration on this large land package in the Abitibi. Not only is it in a great mining friendly province of Quebec, the Abitibi region is one of the great mining belts, if you will, in the entire world. I think the statistic is something like 200 million ounces of gold have been mined from the Abitibi. And here they give you the highlights. The first drill hole, so this was their discovery hole, intersected 8.87 grams per ton of gold over 1.05 meters, including 16.02 grams per ton of gold over 0.55 of a meter. To have that gold in that grade in your discovery hole that had a whole bunch of visible gold in it is a hell of a discovery hole as far as I'm concerned. They talk about visible gold observed in 3 of 4 orientation holes completed to date, confirming the presence and continuity of the gold bearing shear zone. And by the way, this is a very big shear zone, so it's wide open to follow it along strike, to follow it at depth, to find dilation zones where the rocks open up and can make very significant deposits. This is the earliest days of a grassroots gold, high-grade gold discovery in the Abitibi. That is something to pay attention to. But then look at their Caber complex. 14 holes totaling 10,000 meters completed to upgrade resource prior to an updated mineral resource estimate. One of the holes, 113, hit 5.49% copper, 5.95% zinc, 0.15 grams per ton of gold, and 35.66 grams per ton of silver over 2.8 meters. Another hole, 114, 4.43% copper, 2.07% zinc, 0.12 grams per ton of gold, and 9.05 grams per ton of silver over 2.75 meters. Hole 116, 1.85% copper, 3.1% zinc, 0.05 grams per ton of gold, 9.8 grams per ton of silver over 27.2 meters. Renaissance Zone, 27 holes drilled with 16 holes containing massive to semi-massive sulfides. Initial MRE underway following highlight results including 1.03% copper, 9.6%, 9.16% zinc, 0.03 grams per ton of gold, and 6.54 grams per ton of silver over 4.7 meters. They also have the McLeod extension with some very good results in there as well. Uh, they say that drilling is underway to follow up the recent discovery of gold mineralization with 25 meters of the existing mine access ramp at the Bracemac mine. So they can use those underground workings to drill from. That's a money saver there. Visible gold now has been observed in 3 of 4 holes drilled in this new target, confirming a continuous shear zone intersected in all holes drilled to date. The system is hosted within a tonalite intrusive rock unit in the footwall of the Bracemac mine, a rock unit where almost no historic holes have been drilled. So what they're getting at there is it's in the right kind of rock package, and it's very large and virtually untouched. It's only been drilled with like less than a handful of holes so far. Gold exploration program operated by Glencore until June 2022. The Bracemac McLeod mine was one of 12 past producing base metal mines on Nuvau's 1,300 square kilometer land package. Historic mining focused entirely on copper and zinc mineralization. Key infrastructure remains in place, and the mine remains permitted for operation. Little to no gold exploration was undertaken by the previous operators due to the previous focus on base metals. Visible gold mineralization was observed in the first hole, drilled to test the first of 3 priority gold exploration targets that Nuvau identified on this large scale property. The current drill program is aimed at defining the parameters of this newly identified gold bearing structure. To date, 4 drill holes spaced 25 to 40 meters apart have established a strike and dip of the host shear zone that is injected with quartz veins containing minor pyrite. A 5th hole is underway to test 100 meters below the initial drill holes. Now, this has me very excited because in orogenic gold systems, they have these very deep roots. They can go down 10,000 meters or more. And that's where the heat and the pressure is perfect. And then from there, it needs a release, if you will. And that's these structures that they talked about, or I like to refer to them for non-geologists as cracks cracks in the earth. And so these fluids can then make their way up the cracks of the earth and get right pretty much at surface. And so they're giving you details there, geological details, that they're finding what checks all the boxes in an orogenic gold system. So to have one of those in the Abitibi region that is so prolific and has many of these orogenic gold mines in it, to now find a brand new grassroots discovery is very exciting. Visible gold has now been observed in 3 holes, with all holes having intersected a sheared intrusive tonalite containing folded quartz calcite chlorite veins mineralized with 1 to 3% pyrite. The first hole intersected 8.87 grams per ton of gold over 1.05 meters with numerous grains of visible gold identified. So it wasn't one little tiny speck. You go back a few news releases ago and they show you the actual all the grains of visible gold, just free gold in the quartz, not bound up in sulfides. Another big check mark. So here they show you. So it's not easy to see here, but this is the ramp that went down to this underground workings. And hiding behind here, there is the where the underground workings for the base metals was, and then right virtually like within 25 to 50 meters of that underground working is where they found this gold discovery. And you can see it a little bit better here. This purplish stuff behind here is the underground zone that was mined. And then right beside it, like here, this green shows you one of the underground workings. And then, like exactly right beside it, 25 meters away is this new gold zone that they've drilled 4 holes into, and now they've got another one going down that's trying to get underneath these other holes. Here again, you can see the underground workings and how close they are to the underground workings. So you could actually set up a drill station here and start poking holes deeper from that drill station. And here they give you visible gold assays pending, visible gold assays pending. This is the next hole that's in progress at a next target. So it's a really great, they give you details about the Caber drilling and the other drilling, which also looks fantastic. So collectively, they've got sort of a dual path towards growing the company. One of those is through the bringing the key one they want to bring in production first is the Brace Mac McLeod mine. But then now they've also got this gold discovery to start advancing. So it's a very compelling two-punch combination there on a project that's huge, 1,300 square kilometers, with mining infrastructure, roads, a town, everything you could ask for is at the project, the Matagami project for Nuvau. So let's take a quick look at their stock chart. Here it is. And as you can see, when they announced that they are the visible gold and the new discovery of gold, the stock had a tremendous rally, softened up as they were waiting for the assay results, been firming up lately. And when you consider the quality of the assets that they have, and this company only has like a 40 million Canadian valuation. I mean, they've got multiples of that in mining infrastructure sitting on the property already. So this is a phenomenal value proposition. And I think you should do your homework on Nuvau. They recently went through a golden cross here. This trajectory of the 50-day moving average is suggesting that it's going to go a lot higher. To do that, you need catalysts. And they're drilling, they got assays pending, they got more drilling on the gold, they got drilling on the base metals, they're going to have a lot of catalysts ahead of them. So do that homework on Nuvau. Alrighty, now I'm going to get into my next company. And that company is Almadex. I've already got the news release teed up right here. So Almadex, they had a news release out today, and they stated that they're pleased to provide an update on recent planned exploration activity for the remainder of 2025. Drilling activities include previously announced upon commencement in June 17th news release. Almadex has now completed the drilling of 2 diamond drill holes at its wholly owned porphyry lithocap target on the Paradise project in Nevada. Drilling of a third hole will commence shortly. Assays are pending from this program. When complete results are received and interpreted, the company will provide an update. Almadex also anticipates that a first pass drilling program on one of the projects optioned by Azucar Minerals. See Almadex's news release on May the 1st, 2025. Upon approval of the agreement by the TSX Venture Exchange, in addition, the company plans to conduct first pass drilling on the porphyry target the company has developed on its New Hope, Arizona project later in the year. They talk about generative exploration activities. The company continues to conduct regional generative exploration, desktop and field activities, and they give you the details about that. But I wanted to get into this about lithocap alteration zones and the Paradise lithocap. I know this all sounds very geo-speaky to you, and I'm going to try to break it down for you. But there's some really important information in here for investors that invest in porphyry systems. Okay? So it goes on and it says lithocaps are extensive areas of hydrothermally altered rocks that occur above or adjacent to intrusive rocks and related porphyry deposits. So you can think of it like above the porphyry, you have this cap over it, like a bottle of pop, if you will, and then a cap over top of it, and that's a lithocap. All right. And so you're ultimately looking for the porphyry below it or the bottle of the bottle of pop, not just the lithocap, but the lithocap helps to lead you towards the bottle of pop, which is the porphyry. Okay, so the hydrothermal alteration forms when ascending high temperature magmatic fluids are released from the source intrusion below and alter permeable and reactive rocks occurring above. So, what that means, folks, is that um, when those metals bearing fluids come into contact with the country rock, it chemically alters that country rock. And so you see these altered areas, and that's a great place to start looking for a porphyry. All right. Lithocaps can be over 10 by 10 kilometers in the surface area and over 1 kilometer thick. So when you see those big things, that tells you something big is could be lurking below. The alteration mineral assemblages vary, usually with distance from the intrusive source. So when you're sitting right above the bottle of pop in this analogy, you're going to get more alteration. And as you go out from it, it gets less alteration. So it's how you vector in towards that bottle of pop in this analogy. Okay. Often more neutral and high temperature stable alteration mineral assemblages are seen at depth. So you see this alteration above, you want to get lower into it, closer to the source intrusion and potential porphyry deposit. More acidic and lower temperature stable assemblages generally occur higher and farther away. So again, thinking of a bottle of pop in the ground, and when you're right above it, you're going to have something different than as you get away from it. That's what they're talking about there. Mapping of alteration minerals and geochemical analysis using soil and rock samples can map these changes in mineralogy. So again, you're using the geochemistry in your surface sampling to help vector back towards where it all came from. This mapping can then provide a vector towards potential underlying porphyry systems. If large areas of lithocap alteration are well preserved, they can obscure deep, unexposed porphyries and other styles of mineralization. If no mineralization is present at surface, drilling based on geochemical and alteration vectors aided by geophysical data is the best way to explore for buried deposits. When they're describing all this, they're telling you how they're going about sort of using the breadcrumbs of geoscience to lead you towards the loaf of bread you're looking for. The wholly owned 1,500-hectare Paradise property covers a roughly 4.5 by 1.8 kilometer area of exposed, intense hydrothermal alteration developed in volcanic rocks. So again, when if you were on top of a small bottle of pop, you would only see a small area of alteration in geochemistry. You get it above a big bottle of pop, and you got a much larger target area, and that's what they're talking about there. This alteration zone, which includes quartz alunite, pyrophyllite, and diaspore, is typical of high sulfidation environments forming above porphyry copper gold systems. The alteration has been mapped by Almadex using a Terraspec infrared spectrometer. This work using rock chip spectral data points has defined a well-preserved porphyry lithocap with alunite core zones with increasing sodium composition, haloed by pyrophyllite, dicite, some of these words they get beyond me, then hypogene kaolinite. Surrounding the acid sulfate zones are halos of sporadic paragenitic illite, grading to dominant muscovitic alteration with chlorite and peripheral alteration halos. So again, really, really geospeaky there, but basically what they're telling you is if I'm talking about using geoscience as a tool to vector in, you use these indicators that they're talking about in that news release to vector back towards the porphyry that they came from. They've drilled 2 holes into so far, and they got one more going right now. So stay tuned for more news out of Almadex. Let's have a quick look at their stock chart. And that is DEX is their symbol. They trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture Market. And as they've been doing this drilling, they've gone through a golden cross, trading well above the 50-day moving average. Now, not all explorers will see this kind of action as they're starting a drill program. The reason that these guys are doing so well is the father-son team that runs this company is very talented, very highly well respected. They've had big success in the past, finding important discoveries, selling those to partners, and they're considered a prospect generator, but that's a bit of an understatement with these guys. Most prospect generators will stake a property, do some surface sampling, maybe a bit of geophysics, and then they'll farm it out to another explorer or a major, and then have them come in and test that system to see if what the indicators are telling are can be proven up with the drill hole. Where these guys are different at Almadex is they actually own their own, I think it's 6 drill rigs. So instead of just doing some minimal surface sampling and a minimal geophysics and then bringing in a partner that takes it the rest of the way, these guys actually go in there and drill it and show with the truth machine or the drill rig that they've got something. And then they do a deal, and doing it that way can get you a much better valuation in a partnership. Now, of course, there's more risk to that, but these guys are very good risk takers. They know what they're doing, and I think they've got some. This is a really exciting project for me, and I'm watching it very closely. All right. So the final company today is Aris Mining. Aris Mining announces positive pre-feasibility study results for their Soto Norte gold project in Colombia. This company is already a producer at their Segovia mine. They've got another one that's in development, and then they've got this Soto Norte as well. And so they've got a really great group of assets, and that's why I picked them as a pick in the reports. And they're having very big success at their mining at Segovia. And then they've got this pipeline that looks quite exciting as well. And it's run by a guy that's done this before, built up big companies. And so he knows what he's doing. His name's Neil Woodyer. He's the CEO, and he commented, and I quote, "The Soto Norte's PFS outlines a project that balances scale, profitability, environmental stewardship, and community input. Our plan dedicates 750 tons per day, more than 20% of total capacity, for material mined by local community groups, replacing informal mills that pollute waterways with safe, licensed processing. All mine water will be collected, treated, and safely returned, safeguarding the Bucaramanga, I hope I didn't brutalize that, and regional water supplies and improving water quality in the local community mining areas. The PFS results highlight Soto Norte's ability to deliver significant long-term value for shareholders and for our community and government partners while adhering to the highest standards of safety, water protection, and environmental management. With the PFS complete, we are completing environmental studies and preparing to apply for an environmental license in early 2026. Soto Norte stands out as one of the most attractive gold projects in the Americas. Now, when he's talking about helping the local miners, this is the ultimate way to get the locals behind backing your project. Plus, it does a good thing. Instead of using very toxic chemicals in a less than ideal way, I'm saying that kindly. They bring them in and they make them partners and they process their material in their mill. And so it's a model that they've used at the Segovia mine very successfully, and now they want to apply that to Soto Norte as well. So they talk about a 22-year mine life with 3,500 ton per day, including, as they say, 750 tons per day will be dedicated to the local community miners to toll mill their material right at Soto Norte. Measured and indicated mineral resource of 7 million ounces of gold, proven and probable mineral reserves of 20.3 million tons at 7 grams per ton of gold, containing 4.6 million ounces of gold, supporting a 22-year initial mine life at an owner mining rate of 2,750 tons per day. Production of concentrates for export containing 4.3 million ounces of gold, 18.8 million ounces of silver, and 84 million pounds of copper. Average annual gold production from years 2 to 10 of 263,000 ounces per year. Average annual gold production from years 1 through 21 of 200,000 ounces of gold. So this is the kind of asset that can bump their production up quite dramatically towards like 1 million ounces of production. And then they give you more of the details about the project, the life of the mine, the after-tax NPV, low life of mine cash costs. Listen to this one, all-in sustaining costs of $534 per ounce of gold. Think about that, folks. Gold is trading at 3,500, so that's almost $3,000 of free cash flow for every ounce that they produce. That is spectacular. Then they give you more details. I'm not going to read all that off. They give you some annual processed gold, grade, and gold produced and concentrates. Whole bunch of details here, and I advise you to take a look at that and do your homework on it. But Soto Norte is a fantastic addition to to Segovia, their other mine that they're developing, and then Soto Norte is in the pipeline as well. So let's take a look at their stock chart. ARIS is their stock symbol. They trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And as you can see, been doing very well well, like a lot of companies, they had a breakout in early 2024. They softened up a bit and then they blasted off again. In 2025, early April, they had their golden cross. It has consistently traded above the 50-day moving average which gives it the 50-day moving average a very bullish trajectory. It came down here, which is when I made it an official pick, to the 50-day moving average, which is why I picked it there. And now they blasted off to $12.57 closing price today, making it up 4.14% or 50 cents a share to $12.57. This is kind of a tight um, cup and handle, but it is indicative of something that I look for in cup and handle formations. So this is the left side of the cup at about $11.24. Then you've got the bottom of the cup, and then it starts moving up the right side of the cup. Now, this trajectory of the movement is much more significant of the left side of the cup, and it has blasted through the top of the left side of the cup quite dramatically. And when I see that in a cup and handle, it means that onwards and upwards from here. And at that point where it exceeded the left side of the cup, it very quickly, over the last three trading days, has moved up from about $11 and change to 12.57 today. So I like everything about this company. I like their business plan. I like the production that they currently have. I like their pipeline of projects to keep them being a bigger and bigger mining company with very extremely low costs. And all of these things combined are why I like Aris so much at this point in time. All right, quickly, we'll have a look at the beautiful breakout in gold. I talked about this a lot in my last few shows, so you can just go and have a look at those. I'm not going to go into it a lot today, other than to say this is a very dramatic breakout and is well above the 50-day moving average. And I think that we're now making a new series of record highs, much like we did since the early 2024 breakout when it broke above $2,100. It then went on a long run of making record highs, a series of record highs. And I think we've got another series of record highs about to get underway. Silver also had a very important breakout. I'm going to go to the monthly chart to just show you how important that was. So this was in 2001 to 2011 metals bull market. It went from around $5 an ounce all the way up to $50 an ounce. And then it's been forming this long-term cup and handle. Okay. But I recently talked about the importance of this $35 per ounce level. And as you can see, even in that great bull market, the last great bull market that we had for metals, it spent very few months above $35 an ounce. So then when I started to see it getting close to 35, I started talking about the potential and the likelihood that it would break out above that $35 level. And a lot of that had to do with this golden cross here and the trajectory of the 50-day moving average. So when I see that, I go, okay, game on. It's time for a breakout, which we got. And it broke above that $40 level just in the last few days of trading. And this daily chart shows it a little bit more. So here's the $35 level, here's the basing, and here's the breakout. And I predicted this in my reports. If you want evidence of that prediction, you can go to my Substack where I publish all of my reports. I don't delete any of them. They all stay up there forever. So you can go and look at what I was talking about back in these periods. And now we're seeing it happen. What I see going forward from here for silver is that now I think it's on a path to $50 per ounce, which will go back to this record high here, back here. I think it's on a trajectory to get to that before the end of this year and then start making a series of record highs. It very well could see those series of new record highs based on the trajectory and the way it's going up the right side of the cup. It could happen before the end of this year. At the latest, I think it will happen in the first quarter of 2026, where we start to see a series of new record highs for silver. That is like what we've seen for gold. Let me go back here, since it had this big breakout in early 2024 and then went on a long period of series of record highs that took it from the lower left of the chart to the upper right. I guess if I had to tell you what I think is going to happen for silver going forward, after it breaks out above $50 an ounce, which I think will happen before the end of this year. It may bounce its head up against that 50 a few times, but then onwards and upwards from there. And then I expect it to make its own series of record highs in silver, like we've seen in gold. All right, that's the end of my show for today. As always, do your homework, speak with your financial advisors. I'm only an idea generator. I use my 32 years of experience and intensive training by really talented geophysicists, geochemists, and geologists to build my own filter. And I talk about what impresses me. And, but it's important for you to do your own homework. And that's true no matter what sector you're investing in or what stock you're investing in. The more well informed you are, the less likely you are to make emotional decisions due to short term fluctuations in a stock price or in a metal like gold or silver. Okay. And so, if you're well informed, if you're investing in gold and you're well informed on what's happening with gold and you're well informed in the gold stocks you own, you're less likely to make those emotional decisions and you're more likely to make logical, rational decisions. And that's a recipe for success in any sector. So be well informed, folks. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.